Hello, welcome back to the garden. In today's video, we are going to be taking hydrangea cuttings, and I can't wait to show you how quick and easy it is. Today we're going to be taking cuttings from 3 different hydrangea plants, but they're all the mop head variety, also known as microphylla. This is the first one that we're going to be taking cuttings from, and this is probably the one hydrangea that made me change my mind about them. The hydrangea had its heyday back in the Victorian times, and I'm pretty sure it's safe to say ever since it's not been very fashionable. However, times are changing, and I do think now that the table's starting to turn and more people are beginning to love the hydrangea. I absolutely love this plant because before I moved to this house, I can remember having one in the garden as a child. My mum absolutely loved it, and all I can remember was it needed to be kept in the shade and it had to be watered all of the time. If it wasn't watered, you could lose it in a season. But fast forward probably about 30 years, we moved here in the August, and at the time it was the school holidays and I was quite busy on just trying to move in, get the house livable, and then it probably wasn't until maybe December, January, February time that I started to actually explore the garden properly, and this was quite an overgrown area. So I don't think I found this hydrangea until a couple of years later, to be honest. And I can remember one July I was up here and I came up and I saw this hydrangea. It was much smaller at the time, and it was just like this, had a few little pink flowers on it, and within 3 days every single flower had turned pink and they were huge and absolutely beautiful. And it did take me back to my memory of being a child in my garden. But the one thing that really caught my imagination was the fact, and you can probably see while I'm filming this video, we are in pretty much full shade here. We've got loads of sun over there and I've got my garden down there, but this area here is in complete shade pretty much all of the time. And I couldn't believe that you could have such a beautiful flower that would look really beautiful and have flowers for literally months and months and months. You know, in the garden, when your plants flower, sometimes they last like 2 weeks or something like that. You know, my peonies looked absolutely beautiful for 2 weeks and that's gone. They're gone now, and you know, how sad is that? But with a hydrangea, they flower kind of late spring, early summer, and they will keep looking absolutely beautiful all the way through to well, the first frost really. And when you get frost on them, they look really nice as well. But this particular area where I live, this valley, I started noticing that loads of other people had all these different hydrangeas in their garden and they looked absolutely beautiful. So there was one house all the way up my lane that had this huge, beautiful blue hydrangea, and this was pink. And then my father-in-law had a huge bush at his house as well, and it really got me interested in growing hydrangeas. And I think this year is the first year where I've actually decided that I'm going to start taking cuttings, and I have bought a few different coloured mop heads. Now with a mop head variety, you can get pinks, you can get blues, and you can get white. Now with the pink and the blue though, you can actually change the colour from pink to blue by using an acidic liquid feed or by using ericaceous soil. So very interestingly, this one is a pink one. I have one down in the front garden that came from a cutting from my father-in-law's one. Now he actually had a pink one, and when I planted that one out in the front garden, I put it with a huge amount of ericaceous soil. But that one is about to flower the first time since it was taken from a cutting 3 years ago, but that is going to flower pink. So it will be very interesting to see if I can turn that one purple or blue by using a liquid feed, but that's something that I can do in the future. So because I loved my neighbour's blue hydrangea so much, I have decided to go and pick one up myself. Now, you're probably shouting at the screen now, why did I not go and ask him for a cutting from his hydrangea? And that is because, unfortunately, he's passed away. The house was sold and the new owners of the house have cut it completely down, and I didn't realise at the time. Had I known they'd cut it down, I would have asked if I could have some cuttings, but I didn't. So there we are. I had to go and buy one. But as you can see, this one here has flowers on the top. It's going to flower really soon, and I can't wait to see how it does. Now, this one is called Blue Late, but as I mentioned already, you get the blue from giving it you know, acidity, whether from a liquid tea or having acidic soil, ericaceous soil, whatever. But we haven't started to, well, none of the flowers have started to open yet. So it'd be really interesting to see if it actually does stay blue. Somebody mentioned to me the other day that the blue ones have been bred blue, so it definitely will be blue, but I'm not sure. Who knows, but very excited because we can take some cuttings from this one today. We're obviously taking cuttings from the one behind, and we're also taking cuttings from the one in my front garden. The one in my front garden came from a plant from my father-in-law's house, so it'll be really interesting to see what colour that comes out of. As I know, it's already going to be pink, but it'll be interesting to see how different the pink is to this one behind. But we are going to be taking cuttings from all of them, and this one here is just to show you that this is cuttings from another one. So a friend of mine gave me this the other day when I mentioned that I wanted to get more hydrangeas in this area. I'm not going to be taking any cuttings from it, but this one also has a flower on the top, so it'd be really interesting to see how the shade compares with this one behind me. And also, if this one does come blue this year, I'm going to leave it. It's going to be planted in the ground, probably just behind this one here. So it'd be interesting to see the year after what shade it comes out, because isn't it great that you can just change a little bit about the soil and get a completely different colour. So I'm going to let it kind of naturalise in the garden, and then we can have a bit of fun in the future. I don't have a white one yet. That is one that I will be getting at some stage, but I can only afford to get a few plants every now and then. But anyway, honestly, that is enough of me chatting all about these hydrangeas. Let's get on to taking the cuttings. It is so easy. The first thing you need to make sure is that you're not taking a cutting from where a flower is growing. So there are, if you look at your hydrangea, lots of other parts of the plant that also are stems, but they do not have a flower on the top. So find some of those. Then all you need to do is cut it to its second leaf node. Pretty simple to do. And then get quite a few of the cuttings. So looking at this blue hydrangea, I can see that it's actually already had quite a few snips from it. So whether that was the nursery taking cuttings from it so they could grow more, or just tidying it up before it went to the shops. But I can see this little area here doesn't have any flowers formed, so we're gonna just snip these off. Really simple, and as you can see, we've got the 2 leaf nodes there. Right, I think that is enough taken from this. I've managed to get 6 cuttings from this blue hydrangea, so I'm really pleased with that. The cuttings that we're taking today are known as softwood cuttings. They are the easiest to take and the quickest to root, so it's definitely worth going for those. And you know that they're the softwood cuttings because it's the time of the year, so we're late spring, early summer, but as you can see, all of the shoots are lovely and green. They're not woody or anything like that. If you want to take hardwood cuttings, that is much later in the year. You can still have good results from that, but they don't root as easily as they do at this time of year. So I've got my 2 containers here that have already been labelled up with Hydrangea Blue, 19th of June. So I'm going to be putting 3 in each. Now, obviously with cuttings, it is pretty easy. All you need to do is stick it in the ground and it is going to grow. But there are a few things that we need to do first to ensure that we get the best results. One of the things you could do at this stage is actually get a rooting kind of hormone powder and put the tips of the cuttings in that. But actually, I don't use that because it's another thing you have to buy, and you will get better results and it will be quicker, but it does cost money. So to be honest, I just go with take more cuttings, they will grow and you can save yourself a bit of money. So we have our cutting here, and as you can see, there's quite a few leaves on it already, and I know that the roots are going to be coming out of this node here. So what we need to do is take the leaves off, just those lower leaves off. And then I'm also going to just cut just below the node. So I have a lovely little stem here that can go straight in the ground. And as soon as it wants to, it can start shooting out of there. I've done the same with this one already. So, oh, I need to put 3 in, don't I? So I better just put them to the side. And that's 3 done straight away. Now, if I leave them like this, it's going to be absolutely fine. But plants have no roots anymore because I've cut those off, and they will be absorbing water through that stem and releasing it through the air. That's known as transpiration. And if I do that, we've got quite a lot of leaves on here, so it's really going to struggle. It still does need those leaves for photosynthesis, but what I'm going to do is just snip them off. So the bigger ones are much smaller, and we're going to lose less. Oh, these aren't very strong, these snips. We're going to lose less water doing it this way. So this cutting here looks a little bit worse for wear. It had already been cut there by the nursery, so it's only actually got 1 leaf on it, but I still am going to cut that one just because I don't think it's going to cope very well with such a big leaf on it. The good thing about taking cuttings is that you can get more plants for free, but you can then also swap them with your friends. And that's what I need to do. I need to find someone that has a white one so I can swap some cuttings with them, so I can increase my variety for free. That's a blue one done now, so let's move on to the pink one from my front garden, which came from my father-in-law. I took cuttings from the front garden one about half an hour ago, so they have been sat in water ever since. It's really important, if you can't pot that cutting up straight away, to put it in water if you can. Otherwise it would dry out, and the longer it's out of the soil or out of water, the less the chance that it will root successfully. Now, this one is so big in comparison, so I definitely need to make sure that I cut those leaves down, otherwise it won't stand a chance. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7, so we put 4 in one and 3 in the other. Another reason that I love to take cuttings, or I love to get cuttings from other people, is because it tells a story. So imagine, you know, I'm making a cutting here and I give it to someone. 10, 15 years later, someone might comment on that plant in their garden and they'll say, oh, my friend gave that to me, or whatever. And it's always so exciting. So, you know, you might have a family member that's not very well and they've got a, you know, hydrangea in their garden or something, and then 20 years down the line, you might just be thinking one day, oh, I kind of remember that person now. Bit nostalgic, I know, but, you know, quite nice. So again, I'm just cutting below the second node. I'm going to take the stem off. So it's like that, and then I'm going to cut the top off. And the last ones here are from the bush behind me. I've only got 1 container left prepared, so we're going to be putting 4 in this one. So there you go, that is how quick and easy it is to take hydrangea cuttings. But now the cuttings are taken, we need to look after them while they start growing some roots. If we just leave them as they are now and put them in a sunny greenhouse and forget about them, they're probably not going to survive. So at this stage, you can do a couple of things. So you could, if you wanted to, put them in a clear plastic bag, tie it up at the bottom so it kind of makes its own little microclimate in there. It can get all nice and humid, the plants are not going to dry out, and then it can just do what it needs to do. But instead of that, what I'm going to be doing today is just putting these on a north-facing windowsill in my house, which means I can kind of control the climate a little bit more, and I don't need to worry about forgetting about them in the greenhouse. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. We're going to be taking them in, putting them on a very shady windowsill, and I will give them a mist every couple of days and make sure they are nice and moist. Obviously, if they're too wet, they are going to rot. And again, if you use rooting hormone, you probably will get much quicker results and you will have more to actually take. But I don't like to do that because I don't like spending money, and I don't think you need to. You can just take way more cuttings. So there you go. Do make sure you follow me on my social media, my Instagram and my Facebook page, because I will be doing updates on these. Also, if you're watching this maybe 6 months in the future, I'm going to do another video about potting them on and seeing how many we got. So if I've made that video in the future, which obviously isn't now, I will put a link above now in the cards and down below in the description so you can see the follow-up video, but I will also put it at the end as well. So make sure you subscribe so you can see that video in the future. But if you're watching it in the future, you can watch that now. Anyway, that is enough of me going on. I'm so pleased that you've decided to watch this video and you're still watching it now. So thank you very much. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, please do hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of all of my latest videos. And as ever, YouTube have a couple of videos up now on the screen that they think you'll like. So please go ahead and watch those, and I'll catch up with you in the next episode. Bye.